flexible. I don't know if we should like introduce ourselves, give a little background info on ourselves and what we like
Well,
hope to do with this little
so
series or podcast or whatever it is. But
yeah, no. So everybody knows me, Aros.
right, I figured that. I don't know if people are going to end up seeing this that don't and just happen to come upon it on Reddit or YouTube or
Yeah, no.
whatever. What
So
tell
I think
them
that is a
about it.
good
But
thing to do. I'm Aros NPO, basically the founder of NPO, the team, and you know this is my boy Shadow, and we are basically just doing a little series here for newer players, and some of it's going to be a bit of like a let's play, like think Game Grumps type style, where we just talk about the game, the meta, and things that we like and dislike, things that might come up in game that potentially are useful tidbits of information for players new and old alike. Hopefully.
yes, 100% agree with what my boy Aros just said. For those who don't know me, my name is Shadow AZZ. My first name in this game was Shadows and Silence, so maybe you recognize that name from forever ago. Long-time Legends player. I think one of the things that me and Aros have in common is just a very strong love for this game, and hopefully that will come through in our conversations that we record and stuff. And I think we both have a desire to help players who have not been playing as long or who are new to the game who want to improve, and we have a lot of collective time and experience and skill
Or if
that
you
we've
haven't played the
developed.
game in a long time and you're just like a returning
And you're just
player,
coming
like
back, yeah.
we always encourage that as well.
But I mean, there's no one, no matter how long you've played, that can't still improve at something. I'm a big believer that you can never fully, truly master something. So hopefully, experienced players can get something out of this too, or just enjoy some entertainment with this game that we all love so much that we're still playing years and years after it's not even in development anymore actively.
Yeah, no, that's another thing. Is like people always talk about like the changes that they would make, and like big nerfs and stuff. I honestly think that there only need to be nerfs. I don't think anything needs a boost or a buff at all. I just think that certain things need to be kind of taken a little bit down in power, and like maybe some mechanics just need a little bit of tweaking uh,
Yeah, for
in
sure.
order for everything to be balanced. But I mean, as far as I'm concerned, anybody that's good at the game, or anybody that I respect in the game, for the most part, they don't play shitty stuff. So I don't really have a whole lot to bitch about in that regard. But
Well,
you do
I
come
think
across
that's
them
one of the
occasionally.
things that's cool about tournaments is that it gives you kind of the ability, if you're the one organizing the tournament or whatever, to limit certain cards or cards that enable certain archetypes to be kind of overpowered or broken or just like not in the spirit of what the game originally was or like was supposed to be, that most people kind of like have this unwritten agreement among the top level players or just like the tournament community in this game about, like a certain card or deck is just kind of universally banned at all competitive tournaments for a reason, not just because for no reason. So that is something that I always enjoyed about playing in tournaments and look forward to any more of those that may happen in the future. I don't know if you guys are doing one anytime soon, but
I've been thinking I want to do one around the end of February, mainly because fucking Brian is going to be going to some sort of a thing in March, early March, so he's not going to be able to
okay.
participate for a little while, I guess. And I just have to double check with Warlock and see when he's actually going to be. He has like a holiday in Russia coming up, but I'd
Got it.
like for Warlock to be able to attend because he's you know without a doubt like one of the best players that we have, and he's basically
OG.
like our Russian. He's basically like the Russian version of me. So I yeah, I definitely want to see him. I'd like to see him at the tournament if we have it.
That would be cool for sure.
All right.
Um,
So, do you want to play a game
the
first?
top of my list for like topics to talk about as we play or do or me spectate you. I don't know if you said you had some decks you wanted to show off as well, maybe for this one, but um, maybe we can kind of just in the background occasionally touch on like kind of just like fundamentals of this game for beginners that they may not be quite as common knowledge, I guess, as it would be for a player of your caliber or mine. Things that we just take for granted. And I'm thinking of things like, why does a lot of players who are experienced play their cards usually in the in the field lane at first? Or like, why do people make decisions like, I'm going to trade this creature into another creature instead of attacking my opponent's face or whatever, pushing damage, or like just
Okay.
kind of stuff like that that might not be as obvious to like people that are new to the game, even this many years after it's been out for however long. I'm
Sure.
convinced there's people that are still kind of jumping into the game, seeing what it's all about. You see the posts on Reddit all the time. I'm trying out this game. Do you have any advice? Or like, I'm coming back to the game after 3-4 years. Has the meta changed? Whatever. Blah blah blah. I'm gonna go ahead and spectate your game here. So tell me a little bit about this deck that you're on.
So essentially, I was talking with this guy in the Facebook group, and he was saying that he has the best deck on the ladder, and I was just like, okay.
Oh, he does, does he?
I was like, first of all, no, you don't. Second of all, what is it? And
I'm glad you said it, so I didn't have to log on and say
it. Yeah, no. So basically, I was just like, I don't believe that. And he was like, oh, not all your decks are good. I was like, no, not all my decks are supposed to be good.
Of course they're not.
Some of my decks are just meant to be for fun and for memes and whatever, and some of them are singleton and whatever, right? So it doesn't really matter to me. I'll play fucking anything on the ladder. If you see me on the ladder, be prepared for some sort of fuckery anyway.
Literally anything.
But yeah, so I was like, okay, you're playing basically a mono blue assassin, which is something that Rufus had success with last season, and like I'm just
I love honestly, that.
I just play fucking mono blue in general. That's like, if you
really
see me on mono blue, like watch out. Like I'm probably gonna be fucking around doing something other stupid, or it's gonna be like a game deck, right? I've actually placed really high with just mono blue itself.
It's strong, man.
And I've beaten people like Ross Pierdahl and stuff like that on ladder with mono blue, so like it's no fucking joke. Anyway, this is like my idea of like a mono blue with green that has green cards that I like that are really strong. Basically, it's like a mid troll kind of deal. But it definitely has the ability to go early quick with like Baron, big tempo cards like Baron, Alfiq, Mighty Conjuring and shit like that. But it does lend itself well to control, especially in hard matchups with like aggro. Like this guy looks like he's playing some kind of aggro deck right now. So we're gonna basically go, okay, you want a trader over here. I'm thinking he's probably
very interesting.
I'm thinking he's probably move.
Because you don't often see like Mournhold Trader in a deck that also has Ngolem, because Ngolem people probably think generally is more of like a kind of
market type
controlish kind of card. Yeah, whereas Mournhold Trader, very aggressive card. You're sacrificing potentially giving up a guard to your enemy later for just pushing 4 damage as early and often as you can, right? I mean,
which is like normally most times when you see Mournhold Trader, or at least when I'm building decks, if I put Trader in there, you'll usually see a Murkwater Scourge in there as well, because Scourge
something to deal with that 2/1 guard, right?
Exactly, yeah.
That's why I think it was such a staple in Goblin Scout decks for the longest time, including you still see them, but thankfully not quite as prevalent as in the past, certain times.
So right here, this is actually kind of, so this will bring light to why I have Neophyte in the deck. I really like the Neophyte Ring combo, like Mentor's Ring onto, the skeleton that it brings out. Usually I'll do it in something like Dagoth, where I have Dagoth in the grave,
right?
Or like a giant bat.
Get all those keywords.
Yeah, but I mean, it works just as well with like regular removal for something like Territorial Viper, which is nice to have for cards like the Invade, like the Gate and stuff, or just cards that in general we don't want to see on the
Invade players.
So that's kind of like I'll walk through like some of the card choices that I have in here, but basically this has like Breton Conjurer in it as well. So if you see a Forked Bolt, then that's why. It also runs Leaf Lurkers, so they also gain from the Forked Bolt. And Fingers of the Mountain, which is like one of my favorite cards as far as removal goes. because you can
Yes, you
do a
run that
lot of
very often.
you can do a lot of really good things with this card if your math is good. um, and yeah, it's a nightmare card for decks like Move because usually all of their Move cards are like they're only 1 HP. So even after a couple of buffs, you can still catch them, right? It's definitely good like anti-aggro kind of
Yes.
card to have.
I have you now.
And
Now, so
generally
you said you're
speaking,
on kind of
most of the aggro cards in general, like that you see on the ladder, don't really have a whole lot of HP at all anyway. Like Trader being one of the few that actually does have like, the whole 4/4 deal going for it.
right, unless of course someone's on like a very purple heavy warrior or sorcerer deck that's based around like the big chunky creatures that are going to stick and take over the board, and then eventually just push a bunch of damage once they've cleared away all the opponent's creatures, and still
Yes,
there's
and
a survivor
Sorcerer
or
with its
whatever.
wards. Ugh.
Yes, I love it.
So here is this will be an interesting turn. I think I'm going to save the fingers. I will probably, yeah, I'll put the Viper out and I'll ward it. Get rid of the last little charge of the
That way the
Ringmire.
Viper survives, and
So
you
we
take
do
out the
go
threat.
we do go through the whole basically the top end of this is Tazcat and Lonath. Lonath is a bit of a stranger choice, and I forgot actually to put Tinkering in here because normally when you run Lonath, you want to run a card like Tinkering because it's really good for those late game like holy shit moments. Like
Oh yeah, classic. You have
yeah,
11 Magicka, you play Laneth, and then you play
in a really
Tinkering
tough
on her with
spot.
another creature on board to sacrifice. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. If you're in a really tough spot at the end of the game, and you're like, okay, maybe I tinker into Manny Marco and Mirac or Euraxia and something. You know what I mean? Like if you're tinkering
It's just
into
going to be all good
Volcano.
stuff.
Yeah, basically the pool of cards that you're tinkering into is usually like big game-changing cards with big good summon effects. It's a good thing I saved that fingers then, eh?
There's nothing worse when you play Gambler than it getting removed, but it seems to always happen, especially, I mean, this late in the game. But
yeah, it's so
another thing, you mentioned doing that play with Laneth. Have you ever done the one in like Mage or Guildsworn or whatever where you run Laneth and then also Defensive Bruma? And if you happen to have another creature,
yes, if you're running Laneth and Mage, you always have one copy of Defensive Bruma. Yeah, one copy of Defensive Bruma is always like a staple to have with Laneth as well if you're running it in yellow, because
it's just such a cool play.
Yeah, and it's like one of those like desperation moments. You're like, okay, like I have nothing I can do, and you're like, oh wait a second, I have this on board, and I have Laneth. Okay, well we can go and tutor our DOB, and maybe it'll give us another turn to potentially, as long as you're alive, you can make a comeback. It's kind of the way I look at it, for the most part. I mean, some games.
So now that you've seen kind of what this guy's deck is, and you obviously know what your deck is, talk a little bit about this particular matchup of deck archetypes and what you're trying to do and what you automatically already kind of know how you need to play in order to try to win this matchup based on you knowing your deck and then kind of having a sense now of what your opponent's deck is and what it's trying to do to you.
So I'm pretty sure, like, just based on what I've seen so far, it doesn't look like he has any move in his deck. He looks like he's just playing like a straight aggro type deck, which is, decent. So my big concern now is I just want to have more damage on the board than he does, and I want to have some cards that will mitigate his damage. So if he can't move this Flame Atronach, then he has to trade into my Alfiq, and then he's only going to have an extra 4 damage.
Or lose his two other creatures if he wants to keep the Alfiq alive or the Atronach alive.
Yeah, so I'm trying to basically just set up a nice Swift Strike win here. And I keep the Harpy because the way I look at it is Harpy is one of those cards that you never play it on tempo. Like, you'll never ring out a Harpy just to play it because the effect of shackling a creature...
It's horrible, yeah.
It gets stronger as the game goes on. And the reason I say that is because normally if you shackle a creature early, it's like, okay, big deal. But like late game, when everyone's counting like their damage and all that, it's like,
and the house is lower, yeah.
Yeah, it becomes way more like, it's a stronger play to play later on. So it only gains value as you hold it in your hand.
Especially if it's a card like Giant Snake that can shackle an entire lane or whatever. That just straight up wins games, I mean, later on.
Yes. Ooh. Here we go.
Assassin's a very interesting deck. It's, I mean, outside of people like you who play crazy combo type stuff, it's usually always going to be aggressive. But it's the question of whether it's going to be like a burn assassin with lots of just damage they can do straight to your face, ignoring your guards or your creatures that are in the way. Or if it's going to be more of the kind that it looks like this guy is playing, or gal, where they can actually play for the board a little bit with wards or items or different creatures of the health team right now, and you have 8, even though you're trying to stabilize here, obviously.
I just want to be safe. I want to play it to safe, but the thing is that at 8 he could have double bolt, so this is a little risky.
I know. It always feels really nervous once an assassin deck gets you down this low in health, even if you're starting to like take over the board and stabilize and stuff.
So I'm not going to hit him for the extra 2 damage, just because I don't want him to draw that. If he has a bolt in hand, I don't want to give the other one to him. And we kind of pray here that he doesn't have double bolt or like racer bolt.
If he does, and it's a certain kind of person, you know he's going to start emoting like,
I have emotes turned off.
Oh, okay.
For that specific reason,
Good strategy.
because it makes me upset. I hate it when people start emoting me and shit. So it's like, you know, instead of reading it and looking into it, I'm just gonna turn it off and not even give them.
That's
the
a good
option.
tip for any people that end up watching this. If you didn't know, you can actually mute emotes in this game if people bother you with "It's time to die, weakling" or "What a pity" or various other things that you can emote in this game, which I find to be pretty funny. But looks like this might be a win. Very good, nicely done. That's
Yeah,
a GG.
when he played the book, I was like, all right, we're good.
Ladies and gentlemen, I played a lot of a particular type of aggro battle mage that I think most people would call burn. That is a deck that I kind of like pioneered, some would
If
say.
it wasn't for you, I
And
don't
one
think
of
the
my
deck would
worst-
be nearly as popular as it is now. Like, I'm just gonna put that out there.
Well, thank you. But one of my worst matchups when I would run that deck for a long time was actually against other aggressive assassin decks, since they have access to cards that drain and Battle Mage does not, even though Battle Mage has access to silence, which I like, and which is why I prefer burn Battle Mage to burn Assassin, because there's so many control decks that have drain and guards and all sorts of nonsense that I feel like you need to have a bunch of silence cards in your deck in order to deal with if you're playing aggressively. But that is a tough matchup, and that a reason that people like running aggressive assassin decks, I feel like, is because they have a lot of cards that do a lot of damage or are aggressive, but they also have access to cards like Blackhand Messenger that can really help you win in a race situation where two
Yeah,
aggro
like if you
decks are
play
trying to
Rebirth
just...
on a Blackhand Messenger, like that's a big play.
Oh my
like, in an
goodness.
aggro matchup or something. You know what I mean?
Oh my goodness, I've lost to that many times.
So you want to play a game? I can keep playing. It doesn't
Let's
bother
do
me
it.
one bit.
Give our viewers a little treat here. See what two titans of Elder Scrolls Legends do against each other. Is there a particular matchup that would be interesting for people to watch, or do you want to just pick a deck at random, or?
Oh no, I meant like, did you want to play one on the ladder? I don't mind if you want to play a friendly. Like I'll fucking play whatever.
Oh, okay. So you're talking about me playing one and you spectating me this time.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do it.
And then we can play a game after that.
Sounds good. All right, let's see.
I always find it funny
Right
when people are
now-
like, "Do you want to play a particular like type of deck?" And it's like, I don't know, just play something that I'll probably see on the ladder, because normally when you make a deck, that's kind of what you're taking.
Yeah,
it on
you
the
want
ladder.
to
You're
test
not
it to see if it's actually
Yeah,
good.
you're not
Okay,
playing a deck to play it in casual. You know what I mean?
I know exactly what you mean. All right. For old time's sake and nostalgia, and just to have people who maybe have never watched me pilot
Oh, the burn.
like my burn aggro battle mage and just see how it goes. If I can find a game. It just
There are
did
some
that
very
glitch.
very
sometimes
difficult matchups for
does.
that deck too. Honestly,
Yes, there is.
Any Telvanni, I think, is like usually up there. Dominion's
Any
probably another one that
prophecy
you
deck.
hate.
Oh, I messed the #1 player in the world, Heracles Gods.
Oh, is he on Dominion?
He's on Sorcerer.
Ooh.
Well, this is a good match for people to see. The current #1 ladder rank player.
I actually, that, by the way, if people don't know this, he
I am
on
going to
Reddit,
get rid of Ice Spike.
on Reddit, this is actually
What'd you say?
Tristane. Heracles Gods is Tristane the Breton.
Yes, he changed his name at some point and
He
joined
was actually, he used to
the
be
God
NPO
Clan
back in
with-
the day.
Yes, I remember.
Welcome, friend.
All right, well,
This
thankfully we
is a
just
decent little hand you got going on here.
drew a 2-drop, which is what you want when you have Ring. You want to play a creature out there. And so the whole point of this deck is just to be faster at their health from 30 to 0 than they're going to be against you. And it has some tools to deal with drain cards or guards with the silence and the actions that can remove them and stuff like that. So he shackled me, but like you said, it's early in the game, so it's not quite as impactful. I could Crushing Blow his Harpy just to like keep my creature alive, but I don't think I'm going to. I think I'm just going to play Camlorn Hero and Shadow Lane here. The reason I'm not playing it in field is because it has one more power than my Mudcrab does, so he would obviously kill the hero with the Harpy, which is a better trade for him. Galen the Shelterer. If you had to guess, what do you think he just Galened?
I want to say like Bleak Coast Troll. Or like
you think he would
Mammoth.
Galen that?
Well, he plays usually an aggro type sorcerer.
Got it. If I was him and I was against me, I would Galen something like a Prophecy to make more of it, or I don't know, like the 2-cost 2/3 drain guard vampire or something that's kind of defensive.
If he has it in hand, you'll probably see he'll probably tell you within the next couple cards that he plays what he
I'm sure he's gonna draw it this turn. I mean, that's the way Galen and Ungolem work, right?
Pretty much, yeah.
So I played Fighter's Guild because I've got these 2 Crushing Blows, so, well, it's not going to matter now, but if he had stayed alive, he could do extra damage if I used these Crushing Blows. Oh, look at that! He got the Galen card right away. That is brutal. What do you know?
That's
Galen
a brutal
coming through in the
card.
clutch. He always does. Unbelievable. Well, hopefully, I do have some prophecies in this deck, so hopefully I'm able to hit some of those if he starts pulling ahead of me. I would say it's lucky to already didn't go him. You seem to always find those shuffled cards like right away somehow. Obviously in a 50 card deck it's more likely than in a 75 card, theoretically. Man, now he buffed it with that guard. This is not looking overly great, but never give up. That's what I always say. I
Well,
think I'm
as
going
soon as
to
you find the
Lightning
spinner,
Bolt.
if you find spinner, that card's dead.
Oh, that's very true. And I run 3 of those and 1 of the other Silence guy, which I mulliganed, and I guess I should have kept.
Sharpshooter?
Let's see here. Yeah. As well as Bone Bow.
Bone Bow won't kill it,
So
but
I'm
it'll
ahead.
definitely get rid of the buff.
Yeah, take it back down to a 2/1. Man, no Prophecy on the first 2 runes, but also not for him. I don't know how many he runs, but
I think he just runs bolts and harpies.
that reason right there is what he just did is why I like Skinned Hound so much. I love using its Give a Guard effect on like cards like Haunting Spirit or what's the 4-cost 5/5 ward guy in purple?
Corrupted Shade.
Yes. Or even like the blue 3-cost 2/2 with ward that gives you a book, and just any warded creature or like creature that does something for you when it dies, like Haunting
Another
Spirit, you can
thing
give
to
guard
mention
that.
about Hound that
That's
you
good
don't see
play.
people do very often is it can suss out your opponent's guards in the shadow lane too. So if you have like a territorial viper or
Yep,
something
you can
like
attack
that, you
something
can
that has drain or whatever, yeah.
hit their gate or whatever, you know?
Yep, 100%. It's an awesome card. This is
It's in the
truly
top
not looking so
three,
great.
like the top 3 2-drops, and the top 3 2-drops are Trader, Wardcrafter, and Skinned Hound, and they're in their own league for very specific reasons.
That's an interesting list. I think I would maybe include some other ones either in that list or ahead of Skinned Hound, even though I really like it. Let's see here. I think that I pretty much lost this, but I gotta do something. What do I want to do here?
I think if you throw Cove Plate down, or no, get your Reclaimer going in the shadow to have your weapons, so that if you draw into a silence.
Yeah. I mean, he's definitely ahead right now and has the advantage, but this deck can come out of nowhere sometimes with a lot of damage also. I think that's
you
why
have
he just
6 in
traded.
hand right now, plus your weapons.
It's unfortunate that I haven't hit any prophecies yet.
Khajiit is going to enjoy.
His deck is more board focused with all these guards than I anticipated it being, which is honestly very smart, and he's playing this very smart. You can tell he's played me before, knows what to expect. I haven't drawn any silence, which is very strange, except for what I mulliganed.
I'm surprised you mulliganed that.
This would have been a good. This would have been a good matchup to have drawn some of my silence. Let's see here. Because if I had silence, I could kill Haunting Spirit, and then if it gave the extra stats to like the Skinned Hound, imagine silencing that and killing it when it
would
has
be a
like
huge
a
tempo swing.
9-8 body. Like, let's see here. What do I want to do? I think I just lose, but.
Rough.
See, yeah, now if I had like Earthbone Spinner, that would potentially save the game.
Well, bottle yourself. No, I'm joking. Don't do that.
Just into like a bolt or something, I don't know.
Harpy would be your best bet. Actually, you should probably bottle yourself.
Just to assert dominance. Hey, there's Earthbone. I turned too late.
It has been my honor.
I mean, yeah, you were gonna die next turn anyway, so you may as well do it up. And there have been times actually with this deck that I've played it quite a bit actually, and I'm about to lose, and I'm like, okay, the only thing in this situation that can save me is if I like, you know, if somehow miraculously I get a bolt, and I'll like hit
And
myself in
you
the
always
face.
do.
Yeah, it's like you hit yourself in the face with like, I don't know, like a bottle or something, and it's like it'll give you like the prophecy card that you need, and you're like, no fucking way, like that just happened. Did you guys see that? Like,
Yeah. I can't tell you how many times that's happened to me. Like countless, literally.
yeah,
I'm
like
sure
you're
against
only
you
out.
even.
It's like you're only out. You're like, I have to ail it myself or something and get, hopefully I draw something good.
Mm-hmm.
And it actually does end up working. And you're like, yes, I feel accomplished. You know, that was my out. It's like, that's the thing like, in this game, I think that sets apart, like, you know, the good players from like the great players is like knowing your outs and playing to your outs accordingly. I mean, sometimes when you're defeated, you just don't really give a fuck, and you're like, yeah, screw this, whatever, I don't really care. The game is lost anyway. And some games are lost in general. Like, you know, turn 3
But you don't know until you
4
try.
goblins is like, you know, pretty much game. Almost always, every time. But I mean, you know, I do try to stick most games out to the very end, or at least till the last rune breaks and I have nothing to show for it, and then it's like, all right, yeah, we'll skip this.
Well, I mean,
and wait for the next game.
For people that have played this game for any length of time, more than like, you know, a couple months, we've all seen just insane, absolutely insane RNG stuff happen. So you always want to give yourself a chance for that to happen to you or in your favor instead of, you know, just conceding or whatever. But sometimes you really have just lost and there's nothing you can do. But let's see, what do I want to play against Mr. Aros, who could literally be playing anything under the sun? I'm gonna go with
I kept it pretty
Good
standard
old
ladder build for this one.
trusty Halalu, which has been one of the decks that has performed well for me over the years. This deck, I have to give credit where it's due. I actually got from Kahir Less, for those who know who that is. Shout out to
Careless?
Kahir Less. He finished
Dude.
#1 for
Careless.
a season with this deck,
That guy
and I've
has
been in love with it ever since.
that guy has some wild decks and makes some of the craziest comebacks I think I've ever seen in this game.
Really good player. I wish he was still around the game more often.
So this is like a business version of like the old Crab Battle Mage kind of deal, but it's in Guildsworn, and it has some
nice.
interesting tech.
Read my lips. Mouthpaw.
I don't know if I really have a great way to describe this deck other than it's a really cool kind of like mid-grow Halalu deck, and it has lots of card draw, and it's able to keep the pressure on all game long against like control, but it has enough like drain and a few prophecies thrown in and some actions and stuff that you have some tools to be able to deal with like fast aggro decks against you if they have ring and stuff like that also.
So it's like a true mid.
Yeah, except just curve-wise and stuff, it's a little bit, I feel like, just looks like it goes under like true mid decks. There's a lot of cards you see in aggro in this deck and stuff like that. I don't know.
Like Trader and stuff.
Yeah, Trader, Corner Cup Gambler, Withered Hand Cultist. I mean, we could just look at the deck list, but I think it's funny that we're both playing Mudcrab Merchant here. What's the funniest Mudcrab choice you've ever, if you can think of it, like that you can remember that you've ever had to choose between?
Fuck, it was like Onkano and Onkano or something like that. It was a double. It was a double where you're like, okay, I wonder which one I'm gonna give them. Like, but yeah,
Man,
something
speaking of
stupid like that.
Speaking of Insane T, who we talked about earlier, he beat me because I'll never forget it.
Sorry, what was that? You kind of cut out a little bit there.
Oh yeah, it's been cutting out sometimes. I just said, speaking of Insane T, he beat me one time only because Mudcrab Merchant gave him an item that gave him 1 extra damage or something crazy like that, and he was dead to rights if that didn't happen that turn or whatever.
Yeah, no, Mudcrab Merchant is one of those cards that, like, it doesn't matter like what they're playing. One Mudcrab Merchant is enough to change the entire game.
Absolutely. I lost to someone else doing something similar just yesterday or today or something. I thought there's no way they're going to be able to like pull this off, and then they did because they found the card they needed or whatever. Alright, so you're loading up the board here against me, and you've shackled my only creature that I have in field lane. Viewers will notice that we're both fighting for the field lane right now, and the reason for that is that you can't hide and cover in the field lane like you can in Shadow, so if you already have a creature there, you're free to attack any of your opponent's creatures.
It gives
And
you
if you're the first
priority on
one
the
to kind
trade.
of Exactly. You can choose to make a value trade where your creature survives and theirs does not, potentially. So I'm going to keep fighting my friend Aros here for the field lane as long as I can, theoretically. Sometimes you do get forced to go into the shadow lane, or sometimes if you're against, like, say, Talvani with a lot of, like, lethal creatures, or sometimes even charged lethal like Snake, and if you're kind of playing a big beefy boy, you don't want to just leave it out there to get removed like that, so you'll play it in shadow lane or whatever, but you got to know your matchups and what your opponent is most likely going to have in hand based on the kind of deck colors they're running and the cards they play first. It's a good skill for people to develop. Now that's an interesting play right there, because you made your Reflective Automaton have enough stats to not lose a trade, but that item gives you a ward if you have 5 power or more, so you didn't get that effect.
It's basically like the least I'm not getting a shitload of value from it, but it might give me just enough in order to get rid of that fucking Withered Hand cultist there. It's
For
kind of like
sure.
you can hold out until the weapon or whatever it is, like whatever card it is in your hand, you'll always have a point to use it where it has maximum value. But sometimes you have to sacrifice what would be the best maximum value for the best at the time value, and the best at the time will normally be the better play because it'll in turn give you the return that you need quicker, which lets you play more cards usually in the game. Like if I don't answer this cultist, then I'm not going to be able to play something like say Old Salty's Assault next turn, right?
Yeah, any actions really are going to cost you more, obviously. So because I have ring, which is a huge advantage, everyone that's played this game probably knows that, I'm able to play a card like this and save my cultist, and my Cliff Racer survives, and I have 2 creatures in field lane now. Sometimes, as our dear friend Matthew, commonly known as Ring Difference, NPO, his name would suggest, having the ring can make a big difference in this game. But that's something that everyone probably knows by this point.
I find that it's
Let's see here.
only apparent in certain matchups, like aggro v aggro for sure. But like if
Alright.
2 control decks are going at it and like one of them has the ring, it's not really that big of an advantage, I don't think.
Yeah, it definitely does not make as much of a difference. I mean, sometimes you'll see in control mirrors people just like skipping their first several turns anyways, so.
I mean, the only deck I can think of in like a control setting that it would make a big difference would be like if like 2 Nixox decks were going at it and one of them had the ring and the other one didn't.
Yeah, I can see that.
Because it gives you that extra flexibility.
Yeah, Magicka manipulation.
Well, I'm gonna have to let
I know you've kind of.
Gambler off.
Oh, go ahead. Well, it'll be the first time in a long time. I was about to say first time ever, but that's not true. It feels like it, that my Corner Cup gamblers never survive. I don't know if I mean, I already had a lot of cards. I don't know how much getting some extra cards really makes a difference here, but let's see.
A dark omen for you.
You bet on the wrong side.
I know we've talked about our card game backgrounds before. I don't know if people that may end up watching this are aware, if you'd want to talk about that at all, but for myself, this is the first real, like, competitive card game I've ever played. Like, when I was young, I collected Pokemon cards and Star Wars cards and stuff, but didn't really, like, play those games. And I, like, had heard of Hearthstone or Magic the Gathering or different games like that, but my brother, Riley, whose in-game name in Legends is Gilgadad. I don't know if any of people that will watch this know him or have matched him, but he got me into this game, kind of explained how it worked and taught me. And I was terrible at first, but I really liked Skyrim and other Elder Scrolls games, and so I liked the artwork and the creatures and the lore and everything in this game, and that kept me playing from when I was bad to eventually starting to improve and get better and stuff like that.
Yeah, we all started out bad, pretty much. I mean, like for the most part. Like even coming from other card games, I think my first deck ever in this game was Prophecy Battle Mage, and then it was like aggro, like red
Nice.
aggro Crusader, and then it was like Ward Heavy Sorcerer type deal. So everybody starts off as like decent-ish, I guess, or like bad, and then they kind of like build themselves up from there, I guess. So it's okay to be like, yeah, my first deck was Prophecy Battle Mage, and there's no shame in anything like that, I don't think.
I mean, yeah, the best way to learn is just to play the game. I mean, the more you play over time, the better you're going to theoretically, hopefully get, especially if your goal is to improve and you play with that in mind and try to like, analyze why you lose and try to understand if you're making mistakes and then improve on it and stuff like that. Both of us are obviously in clans, hence our clan tag at the end of our names. And for people that are newer to the game, that can be a great way to kind of learn and gain some more skills and stuff like that. Can be to either add people on here as friends and watch them play if they're a good player, or chat with them and try to get tips or advice from them. Watching videos or streams like this. And I'm really glad that there's still people who are making content for this game, like I've seen on Reddit. What's his name, Vincenzo or something like that?
Yeah,
Put some videos out there, I know. Also, obviously, massive OG who's very skilled. Rumpin Rufus has been doing that as well. And obviously Ustream, and I saw someone else was streaming on Twitch when I was looking for your stream, which I've never watched to my eternal shame, but I should have. And I will at some point.
There's an echo in
As you
your
can
mic.
see, I have a ton of cards right now.
I guess there's an echo in your mic.
That's not good. Any ideas on how to get rid of that?
I'm not entirely sure. I think. Yeah, no, I'm not.
My Wi-Fi is not the best. I could switch to like a hotspot, which is usually a better connection or something. I don't know if it's something to do with that or not.
I don't think it. I think it might be because you're coming out of the. Maybe it's because I don't have headphones in, and you're speaking basically to the loudspeaker. So I'll pop some headphones in, and we'll see if that makes a difference. Just give me a sec.
Okay. I also just turned down my my game volume and music or whatever in case that's like coming through also.
I'm curious if they'll even be able to hear you if I have headphones in, though. Probably not.
Well, we don't want that. I mean, going to all the trouble of recording the dulcet baritone tones of my delightful voice. We want the people to be. Let's see here.
My paws are quicker than your eyes.
So yeah, I mean, I think this match was probably determined largely by ring and just giving early advantage. But as you can see, I have so many cards in my hand that I've been losing some of them to my discard pile because I'm overdrawing. And that's one thing I like about this deck, is that it often has the ability to, even when you're like ahead and haven't lost too many runes or anything, to just draw a lot of cards, which if you're against control and they're trying to run you out of cards, when you're the more aggressive or proactive deck, you need to be able to have that card draw that can carry you through to getting their last little bit of HP down. So I've already played Crusader's Assault a couple times. Mudcrab Merchant from both of us gave me an extra card. Razum Dar, fantastic
Perfect.
card, which gave me an extra card, I believe.
So the issue is fixed.
Oh, sweet. Is it from your headphones that fixed it?
Yeah, it was.
Nice.
Okay.
Was it someone who was watching your stream that said my voice was echoey or something like that?
Yeah, they were saying that there was an echo in the mic.
Got it. Well, sorry about that, everyone, but I'm glad it's fixed. Oh, snap.
This is probably still game.
Yeah. I think it was too much early momentum. And all the card draw did give me cards like Cradle Crush that were able to help me remove threats that you played on the board that survived your first trades or whatever.
Close ranks, let nothing through.
This is a great deck that, for whatever reason, it just did well in the first tournament I played in. And ever since then, it's just like my good luck deck that I just believe in,
Talking mudcrab.
which is half the battle. I mean, having confidence and trust in your deck
Mouthpaw.
and being confident in it.
Care to make a friendly wager?
Watch, you have like red ear or something here.
These streets are mine.
Close ranks, let nothing through.
You can still hear me, right?
I can still hear you. Apparently,
Okay.
whenever I turn the mic on for me, I guess the echoing returns. So I'm not entirely sure.
I wasn't hearing if you were saying anything until just now, but
Yeah, because I had the mic off.
oh, okay. I guess that would do it. Does your headphones not have like a way to pick up your voice?
My paws are quicker than your eyes. Come and have a taste, Fetcher.
I can't tell if you're saying anything or not, but I'm not
Uh,
able to
I
hear.
wasn't saying
Oh, there you
anything.
are.
Yeah, no, sorry.
Okay,
I
no
was just
worries.
being silent for a second there.
Hey, sometimes you just gotta focus and concentrate on whatever you're doing and try
I
to pull off
don't think this is gonna.
a play to save the game.
I mean, if anything is, it's gonna be this one, but I still don't see it being an issue. Yeah, Belly D.
Well, cards like Belligerent Giant, which I believe is one of your favorite cards.
It's I use it a lot, but it's not one of my favorites, surprisingly enough.
Oh,
But it is definitely one of the ones that I consider to be one of the best cards in the game.
yeah, I guess those are two different things. I just remember you always telling me to run 3 of them if I was running 2 or something.
Yeah, well, that's in mid battle mage in particular. I think that mid battle mage needs 3 Belly G.
It
It's
is
just such a high
a pretty
tempo
good card.
value card, like,
Yeah,
and
I
it
mean,
gets rid
yeah.
of so many like shenanigans. Like bounce and silence are very synonymous, like when it comes to like uh,
That's true.
controlling the board. But in a lot of cases, bounce is better, especially
Well,
in a
when you
mid
have
deck
the
like battle
ability to get
mage.
rid of like a Altar of Despair or a Necromancer's Amulet or stuff like that too, or Workshop.
It's nice having
Yeah,
the
Graham's
option.
Workshop.
Like cards like Shadowfen Priest and Belligerent Giant and stuff like that.
Yes.
When you
Cards that
have
you can do lots of things with that provide that flexibility are great.
yeah, like because in Legends like there isn't a side deck option. Like if you're coming from a game like say Yu-Gi-Oh or Magic, where like in
Right.
between matches you can actually side deck your cards in. Like in Legends there isn't really an option to do that. So having cards that do two things or have like an option to do one or the other are really strong cards and cards that you should probably consider running in like most of your decks in general. Which is funny because I almost
100%.
never run Shadowfen Priest in like my Telvanni decks and stuff.
Great
So
card, but I mean, there's so many options in certain colors for dealing with like supports. Like you have Dushnik Cal Archer, you have Belligerent Giant, you have Edict of Azura, which is why I've made Redoran decks before when like support decks were more prevalent that included like all of those.
I'm gonna play another game on the ladder.
Okay.
So is it guys? Is his mic? Is everything? Is it still echoing? Is that like still an issue? Like, do I just need to kind of watch the like, I guess whenever the microphone is on, or like I don't really know how I would mitigate that at all. Like, that's not really my field of expertise, to be honest.
Technology these days.
It just sucks because this is something that I probably should know how to fix.
This is our first time doing this kind of a trial run. I'm sure we can kind of troubleshoot it and hopefully if there is issues like that, just it'll be better as we keep doing it.
That's actually going to be something that'll be interesting to see is like the improvement as it all kind of goes along and comes together.
One thing I'd be interested to kind of talk about is like your deck building process versus mine. I've always like a lot of people will send me deck codes and so I can see the like finished product of someone's deck building process. Um, but to kind of like see someone do that in action or whatever. I don't know if you ever done
Um,
something like that on your stream, but
I do it all the time. I every deck you see me play, except for like the very odd few, I build it on stream in front of everybody.
My paws
that's awesome.
are quicker than your eyes.
Deck
The
building is
the
one
guest's name is
skill
Shadow,
for the
Shadow AZZ, by the way, and this is going to be the start of some like a kind of like a series type deal that we're doing. Kind of think of like Let's Play, basically Tessel, like Game Grumps kind of deal, with like little tidbits of like knowledge and stuff like that, kind of strewn about for like the newer player. Some things will be like for like the more veteran player, and just little things in general that we might particularly take for granted that we don't normally talk about all the time. That are just good things to know about Legends in general as a whole.
Too slow.
Yeah, hello to anyone that's watching the stream, by the way. Shadow AZZ here. We just kind of had this idea. I was thinking, like, when I was a new player, it would have been awesome to see either a stream or a YouTube video or something where, you know, an experienced, well known or respected or skilled player in the community, or two or more of them, kind of just talk shop and go over different kind of skills that you need in order to succeed at this game. Because, I mean, we all enjoy the game, we play it for fun, but we also play to win and to try to improve and to do our best. At least a lot of us do, so.
Yeah,
Is
it's
it
like
that same assassin deck you were playing before?
yeah. So I actually named the deck Let's Try Hard because I feel like this is like a try hard assassin deck, really. Um, for
Nice.
me, anyway. It has like tones of like mid battle mage and like mono blue in it, I guess that you could say,
Yeah.
from like the Breton Conjurer and the Baron of Tyr there, which is just a fantastic card, by the way. Baron of Tyr, underused, I think, on the ladder in general,
Yeah,
but
it's
such a
ridiculous to
huge
be able
tempo
to
swing.
give guard and stats like to multiple creatures at the same time for 4 magicka with a 3/3 body. I mean, that's wild.
Yeah, it's definitely like one of the big key tempo cards for blue for sure. And it's surprising that you don't see it more often. But I mean, I guess blue isn't really the color that people don't really play mono blue, I suppose, which is funny
I mean,
because
if you're
it's
gonna
so
play mono,
good.
you might as well play mono blue.
It's like blue, yellow, and green are usually like the ones that I think that are the most strong, and then red has like something to deal with everything, so like it has its strength that way. Um, like it actually does have support removal. It has regular removal. It has silence and all that other stuff. Um,
Yeah, and just lots of high attack creatures. You really do love that forked bolt Breton Conjurer nonsense, don't you?
oh man, dude, I have two forked bolts in here specifically for, like I said, I have it in here for Leaf Lurker and I have it in here for Breton Conjurer. But being able to bring out Frost Atronach on turn 3 versus like
Insane.
anything. It doesn't matter what deck it is. It could be control, it could be aggro, it could be any deck.
It's just so hard to deal with, yeah.
Yeah, it's one of those things where you're like, really? Like I remember I played against Yum Yum in the summer tournament, and the reason I beat him was because of an early forked bolt Breton Conjurer, like then rewarding it, and like basically by turn 5 I had 3 Frost Atronachs on the board, and there was no stopping me. It was like, okay, this is game.
Shout out to Yum Yum, who is a fantastic player. I don't know why, but he's one of the rare people that has my number. For whatever reason, I've matched up against him in the first round of tournaments like 3 different times, and I'm pretty sure he's knocked me out all 3 times.
Oh
And I've
yeah,
actually played pretty well in tournaments besides that.
like Seth Dove, like fucking beating you out of tournaments and stuff like that. Like just having your number, man. Like some players, like
Yeah, I don't know what it is, but Yum Yum has had my number in tournaments. Another thing with Baron of Tyr, like even if you have like low power creatures on board, but they have like ward, buffing them with +1 attack and giving them guard is just so crazy.
We'll see how they like someone who fights back.
okay. Well, then I guess we will actually push here then.
No reason not to.
Yeah, he's kind of just going all shadow and doing
I mean, I
that.
can't blame him. Shadow is a good name.
Ooh, I actually
If I
thought
had
he was
to go
gonna.
for
I thought he was gonna
every time.
hit the ward guard. I think that would have been the better play with that javelin, to be honest.
Some
'Cause,
people
like,
just kind of like auto react to the biggest creature or whatever.
I guess maybe going forward that might help him a little better. But like, I mean, he's probably like looking to keep his drain alive, right? What do you
I
think
would
he
think
grabs?
so.
I think
It's
he
the only
grabs
thing that's gonna
Conjurer's
save him at this point.
Spirit. No? Forward camp. He must have a forward camp in hand then. Or maybe he has Conjurer's Spirit in hand. I would think to grab Conjurer's Spirit, though, would be the better play. Because he has
Yeah,
that
he
drain
needs to
there,
start
right?
healing and draining and getting some more creatures on board and stuff. There it is.
No, he did it too early.
Yeah, he doesn't even draw any cards. I mean, he's
Yeah.
got a bigger board now, but
Nah, he's kicking himself real bad for that one. That was a bad misplay. Another reason
do
why
you
I
think he
say that
had
it
a
was
different
strange.
play?
Yeah, well, he should have attacked first.
Oh, so he'd draw the cards. Yeah, okay, I see what you're saying.
Yeah, that's a bad misplay. Another reason why I thought it was strange that he javelined the Atronach is because you know I run Alfiq if I'm running Atronachs in general.
Yeah, so he gave some
He gave me Alfiq fuel, really.
consumed fuel there. I always assume that blue mid deck has Alfiq in hand. I mean, because it always does.
Yeah,
It's like
well, I
Dagoth
mean,
always having hand of Dagoth.
yeah, it's like you run 3 of them usually, right? Because like Alfiq's not really the kind of card you want to run 2 of or like 1 of. I mean, except for very specific like special
In a
cases.
50 card deck, yeah.
But yeah, usually in a 50, like usually in a blue 50 card deck, you're running 3 of them. So if you kill an Atronach, you can pretty much guarantee that they're gonna summon the Alfiq.
While we're
Or
on the topic of
reflective.
Alfiq, while we're on the topic of Alfiq Conjurer, if anyone doesn't have, that's a newer player, does not have a full collection yet and has some soul shards or gems or whatever to spend, I cannot recommend that card highly enough. It's one of, if not the very best cards in the game, and the sooner you add it to your collection, the sooner you can start building decks that include it or are built around it. It's a fantastic card.
As far as blue cards
My
go,
pick for
it's
like,
very, very, very strong. It's a very well like versatile card too, because most of the like good tempo blue decks that you're running will run things like either Tempo Conjurer or you'll run like you're probably already running Mighty Conjuring maybe. Um, yeah, it's just one of
heck,
those
just
cards
throw Automaton in there,
Yeah.
which has synergy with like every card in the game, pretty much.
that yeah. Actually reminds me of a deck that I made a couple months ago. It was like a creatureless deck, but it had Reflective Automaton in it, and it ran Training Ground. So
Oh,
every
nice.
card I played would get the buff, no matter what. So it didn't matter what kind of token it was. It could be like a Daedra, it could be like a regular
I love
Spirit
it.
token. Like it would always get the buff. Hard deck to play, but super cool when you see it actually work out.
Yes, sir.
Um,
Do you
okay,
remember
so-
when Alfiq Conjurer first came out and the Alfiq itself was actually a 3/4 guard instead of a 3/3?
Yeah, that's when Luzra was given 2/2s.
Insane. That play was like the most dopamine hit thing of all time. I literally played just to try to do that back then, like to try to have Lozra on board with Alfiq Conjurer as starting off as a 3/4 and summoning a 7/5, ideally, and then the 3/4 goes to a, what was it, like a 5/6, and the Storm Atro goes to like a 9/7, and then Luzra goes to a, I don't even know, 4/5 or something. You just automatically
She would have been a
win the game
6,
no matter
6,
what.
7 at the time, I think.
Just wild, insane play. You had this guy at very low health, and you somehow managed to kind of like turn things around a little bit, but you're still looking good with Ancano and Tasket here.
Yeah, making it so that he has to basically trade his entire board is like, I think the smartest play going forward.
Yep, and you're still ahead in health, and you've got a lot of reach in hand. For those that don't know what I'm talking about when I say reach, that's just like damage available to do directly to your opponent, whether it says summon, deal 5 damage, charge, meaning you can do it that same turn, or a card like a lightning bolt where you can just... Items can also
Interesting
do reach,
play.
because if you have a creature on board, you can make them do more damage by equipping an item.
So he's hoping
That's
for
as
like a
if
Hail
really-
Mary with this Rothgar
Oh, I
Forge,
know,
I
I know.
guess.
I'm trying to think what he could have that would go well with that. He doesn't have like giant bat or anything.
Well, that's definitely not the card that he wants to get, I don't think.
No. In some decks that card's awesome, but fact, I like occasionally like running that card in mid BM to break my own wards and stuff and do teal damage. Deal 2 damage rather.
Let's knock some heads.
A formidable display.
I like this particular support deck more than the monk version, meaning it's less annoying seeming.
It's not even a competition. I think that the any other version of the support deck I think is fair game. I mean, forward camp in general is a very strong card. Don't get me wrong.
Yes.
But it feels just insurmountable when you add like things like the Alfiq Mage, whatever the Alfiq Illusionist with like Rebellion General, like
that card
Wax
was so
Wayne
irritating.
crap is like, oh my
Not to mention
god.
defenses of Bruma after they play all those creatures and stuff.
Yeah,
for
it
free.
just really bothers me. I'm just gonna keep playing. If you wanna, unless you wanted to like jump in for a game or something like that, I think I'll actually kind of want to push it a little bit.
Okay, I think I'll do one more and then maybe call it wraps for tonight. I got some other stuff I'll do before going to bed, but this has
Sure.
been a
Then
lot
I
of
can
fun.
actually
Thanks for
try to.
having me onto your stream.
Yeah, no problem. Then I'll actually try to figure out that the echoing issue. Hopefully, we can resolve it for the next time. Because yeah.
Alright, what do I want to play? I'm not going to play the same one. Let's play just a good old aggro warrior. This is kind of a OG classic deck based around what I like to call chonky creatures that are good at taking the board and fighting for the board. And you've got some really cards that I think that are just hard to deal with, like Sower of Discord. Like, what are you supposed to do against that? If you remove it, it does 5 damage to you. And then cards like the Shade or whatever, the 4-cost 5/5 with ward, where you can silence it or give it a ward after it loses its ward. And if they attack it, they die, and you can still swing the next turn or whatever.
That card is so underplayed, man.
I
Oh, you're
love
against
that card.
Marlon Ho.
That's who this is?
Yeah.
I had no clue. I just know that he added me and was talking smack after I beat him one time, so then I blocked him, and he emoted a lot of times when I beat him recently after that. I had no idea that this was Marlon Ho. That's hilarious. Okay, now I have to win. I cannot.
I played him yesterday with Dominion Singleton, and I beat him the one game, and then the next game he got me.
That's awesome.
I came back real hard with Dominion Singleton, and it was like, it was a dope feeling. I was like, fuck yeah, fuck this guy. Dodo was watching. I was like, yeah. He's like, I wanted you to win. I was like, I still can. Watch this. And I pulled out this wild comeback.
I had no idea, but that makes sense now why because he obviously knows who I am. I mean, we go way back, but now I feel this pressure to win. This guy has not made a lot of friends in the Legends community over the years.
Yeah, he's like synonymous with Harem Black. Like that level of like shitbird. So Shadow plays mainly efficiency decks. Like he's looking to win with everything that he builds. So he doesn't play memes like I do. But that being said, we might be able to, kind of ease him into the meme game here. It all starts. It starts with the efficient memes, really.
I used to play a lot of Ramp Rage Warrior back in the day. I don't know if that counts as a meme or not. I'm trying to set up killing this thing with the 1 extra damage from Dushnik, because I don't want him gaining health from that. It's not going to be good for me. He was on the same deck and I beat him yesterday or today. I can't remember which day. There it is, Corrupted Shade. That's the card I'm talking about. I love that card.
I find it funny because a guy like him, who complains about people using the same deck over and over again, for somebody to complain about using the same deck over and over again, he sure uses the same deck a lot.
It's called hypocrisy. I probably just misplayed by not saving that Dushnik Cal for his supports. Since he's clearly running like a support-based deck. But we'll see if it comes back to bite me or not. One of my biggest things is I oftentimes will play too fast and I'll miss things like that. I'll see a play, and it can be a fine, decent play, but like it might have been better to save that support removal since he's clearly on a support deck for later. But we'll see if it we'll see if it bites me or not. Hopefully not. I mean, I'm gonna have plenty of cards. I have a silence in hand. I have a way to limit his Magicka, so hopefully he won't get his deck going here. We'll see. He's got 3 supports up. He's got a way to gain health and summon these little.
The number one thing you don't want him to do is you don't want him to break a rune. So you need to put all your energy into stopping him from breaking a rune at this point.
Should be easier with drawing that guard that I just drew.
Don't play it before you do your trades. Do your trades first because he could Prophecy Javelin your fella.
I'm just kind of deciding if I wanted to do the 5 damage right now or later with this first sower. I think I'll keep him alive, that's why I played that scimitar. Yeah, if I had a nickel for every time I've had someone get a prof javelin to me, I'd be a billionaire right now, man.
First rune too is usually the worst one to have it happen on.
It
just totally cuts your
right away.
Yeah, it just cuts your tempo right off the bat.
Well, it gets them back in the game when you're ahead. I mean, when you're feeling good, and all of a sudden it's like, man, I'm probably gonna lose this now. It's interesting that he runs Berserker of the Pale in this deck.
He runs Malamnir in it too, by the way.
Yeah, I think he played Malamnir against me when I beat him. So this drain feature is precisely why I run cards like Earthbone Spinner. I haven't really done
you want to hit Berserker of the Pale. You want to hit Berserker of the Pale with that spinner, I think.
Yeah, it's not like I'm so close to finishing him that I need to not have him drain or whatever. I could have played this Initiate and had the rune breaks I just did trigger it. I still can, but if I want to use all 8 Magicka, I cannot play the Circle Initiate, which I think I do want to play all 8 Magicka. I bet he runs Immolating Blast. I just misclicked. I actually meant to click Berserker of the Pale and I misclicked.
Immolating Blast, I don't think he does. I could be wrong, but I don't think I've seen him use it.
I literally intended to silence Berserker of the Pale there, but I clicked
Let's just hope that he doesn't have Malamnir in hand. Oh, well I guess it doesn't matter.
Play Garnag anyways.
Perfect. Yeah, that works.
This is looking pretty okay so far. It helped that I had Ring. Actually, no, he has Ring. What am I talking about?
Don't count me out yet. Ready to move out.
He got Drain on both of those from Mundus Stone. That's interesting. I think I might probably end up having lethal regardless, though.
Mundus Stone is one of those cards that every time I see it, I'm just like, if I'm gonna lose this game, it's gonna be because of Mundus Stone.
Yeah, it's one of the cards of all time for sure. Let's see here. So this is the obvious trade so that I can keep Garnog alive over here.
At what point does Garnag start to hurt you, though?
That's always the question, isn't it? One question is going to be, do I remove these 2 drains and leave this standard bearer on board? I think I want to get rid of the standard bearer so we can't keep summoning more little fellas.
Actually, if you keep the standard bearer alive, he's more likely to misplay and summon too many creatures, so he won't get the extra draw from the forward camp.
And I also don't really want him to drain since I'm getting closer to being able to kill him. I guess we're gonna find out if he runs Emo Blast right here. Or if he has it, if he runs it. Must not. Habit, that is. Another defenses. And he got a ward on Unstable Madman. Matches like this are where Triumphant Jarl and cards that draw you more cards are just really clutch. Because if I hadn't have drawn 2 Triumphant Jarls, I'd probably be out of cards by now.
Oh, most definitely.
How do I want to do this? I think I'm going to lose Garnog either way, but that doesn't really matter too much at this point. I'm going to use all 7 Magicka and save the Triumphant Jarl. One thing I like doing with Haunting Spirit is swinging with it and then trying to, especially if I already have a full lane, trying to give that extra 3/3 to a creature that can still attack that same turn.
Let's knock some heads.
Ready to move out.
Charge. Look at that. There's no way he has a 3rd defenses right now, right?
I would be surprised.
He doesn't. Okay. Let's see. So I have 10 damage on board. It's possible that I could swing with Haunting Spirit and then give the buff to a creature that can still swing.
Before you do anything, you should play a Jarl.
That's what I was just thinking. Because I could luck into a card that helps me get lethal. Mute could end up being pretty good. Alright, here's what we're going to do. We're going to swing with Haunting Spirit, and then we're going to sacrifice it and see where it gives the damage.
No, yeah. It's a 50-50.
Hey, look at that!
There we go.
It has been my honor.
I'm not going to... I'm going to be the bigger person and not emote a bunch, even though it's tempting. Try to set a good example for anyone that's watching. Which
I
brings
usually,
us to the topic of good
if I don't
Legends
like the
etiquette.
player, usually like what I'll just do is I'll just be like, what a pity, and leave it at that. I don't think spamming emotes in any like sense is a good thing to do. Like even if I don't know, even if you don't like the person or whatever, like spamming emotes is like the equivalent of acting like a child, in my opinion. Like you're gonna give yourself carpal tunnel for no reason.
My kind of general rule for myself is like, if it's someone that has emoted me a lot in the past, I will wait until they being in a position to win. I'll let them know with just at least one, prepare to die or something. Which is also a tool I've used very infrequently to let people know that I don't approve of the deck that they're running, whether it's Yagram's Workshop nonsense or Invade, or the stereotypical cookie cutter copycat Telvanni control that uses like
Alter and amulet.
Yeah, in addition to like Death Scythe and stuff like that. But
Harem Black has entered the
well,
chat.
at least we got to win one there, and people got to see kind of a standard aggro warrior in action.
So you want to call her quits there, and we'll pick up either tomorrow or the next day or whenever, whenever works for you, I guess. Oh look, I have him as my opponent now.
No way. I'm
Yeah.
gonna come watch that game before I hop off then. But yeah, I think I'm about done for tonight. But this has been a lot of fun. Thanks for having me on your stream and for doing this. I'm excited about where this could potentially go. And if anyone that watches this or is viewing the stream right now or whatever has topics that they would like to see us talk about or cover or questions that we could answer, please submit those to AROS and we will cover them or talk about them or stuff like that. If anyone is interested in what 2 players like us who have done a lot of things and accomplished a lot of things in this game might have to say about something.
So the one thing I will say right off the bat is this deck has absolutely no support removal or silence. So basically
He's
we're
clearly running a support-based deck.
So we're playing for basically board, and we don't want to give up a whole lot of damage via
You also are only drawing cards that are 4 cost or above, which is kind of rough.
Yeah, it's kind of rough.
Although he's not like on a hyper aggro deck, so it's not as much of a panic situation as it would be otherwise.
Yeah, if he was
There's
on like
nothing
Prophecy
worse
Battle
than-
Mage aggro or something stupid like that, then
Oh
I would
my
be,
goodness, yeah.
I'd be like, fuck, you know.
There's
Hopefully
nothing
Baron's Eye of
worse than,
Styx.
So I've had games where like I have a deck that's mostly 2 and 3 drops, and I will only draw like 5s and 6s, like the few that I run, and it's just like, what?
Happens to me in Arena often too.
That's Legends. I mean, sometimes the RNG is just straight up not with you, but you have to just not tilt in those situations. And for those who don't know what that means, is you can't let it get to you. You've got to keep your mental toughness and let it slide off your back, and just know that sometimes you're not meant to win, and you just play
Yeah.
your best, and that's all you can
Sometimes just the RNG just be like that, homie.
You are full of surprises.
do. It happens to literally everyone. I mean, it might feel like it only happens to you, but trust me, it happens to everyone. I'm definitely known more for being like an aggro, mid-grow, and occasionally mid player, and I can talk about those kind of decks and playstyles at some point in our little series. I don't know how you would describe yourself, but I'd be very
Probably
interested
just
to hear
like
you talk
combo,
about.
combo player. I
Yeah,
like playing
combos
combos.
is something I do not have experience with. I have some with Singleton, but nowhere near as much as you, and just, I'm not much of a control player. Like, I know how to build and play controllers or not. It's hilarious to see 2 unique Queen Berenzia cards on the board. Doppelganger, I feel like, could be considered an underutilized card.
Definitely.
I mean, for 5 Magicka, you can get cards that are significantly more expensive than 5.
Face me, you dog.
I don't know if I know, like, what the best deck or synergy to make full use of it would be or not, but
Well,
I feel like it
Nixox
could
does
be
a
a
really
great-
good fucking job. Really.
yes, that's true.
Because basically when you play the the doppelganger, it comes out for free.
Insane.
I'll do what I
Yeah, because you gain that 5 Magicka right back from the Nixox summon ability.
Hmm.
ready to move out.
I think if someone is new to the game and they were to watch you pull off the Nixox combo, if it was me, I'd be like, okay, what did I just watch? What is even happening?
Yeah, what the fuck was that? Hmm.
Khajiit will keep you safe.
Are you talking about what he did?
I just thinking here like, what are we? Because this isn't actually looking very not looking very good.
I'll do what
I think it's mainly Fervor's fault, to be honest. That I'm not feeling too hot about
Yeah,
this.
I mean, especially when you don't have a way to remove it, the longer that Fervor sticks around, the higher a percentage chance that it helps him win the game.
ready to move out.
Such a good card, but I mean, it's a big removal target, obviously, in decks that run support removal.
Tosca has a question for you. He's like, why is it fine? Why is it fine to play? Why is it fine to play Old Salty and Elfique and whatever, but it's not okay to play the fucking Helvani control? Like basically, what the one that everybody hates.
Who asked that?
Somebody on my stream.
Oh, well, that's a great question, and I'm not here to tell people what kind of decks they should play or they can't play or anything like that. Everyone has their own preference, right? Like, I like
I think
playing
people in
decks
general
that
just
are
hate
proactive.
control because control essentially is basically like, okay, you know, you can play you can't play this, you can play this. Control is basically dictating what you get to play, and I don't want somebody else telling me what I can and can't fucking play on the board, essentially.
Right.
Basically having to tiptoe around shit like Ice Storm and stuff like that as any deck fucking kind of sucks, really. Um, it's not something that you like to have to do in general. It's definitely not preferred.
Well, so there's several layers to the question, right? Like, or to my answer to the question. Like, in general, it doesn't matter what deck it is. If a lot of people are playing the exact same deck, and that's like the only deck they play, I personally, and my opinion is my own, like, and everyone's entitled to their own opinion, right? Like, I'm not going to be overly impressed by someone who plays the same deck as a lot of other people and didn't come up with it themselves and who doesn't change up what deck they play a lot. But that's fine. Like, people can do that if that's what makes them happy, or if that's what they feel like is their best chance at achieving some sort of goal in the game, then more power to them. They're not playing the game to make me like them or to make me approve of their choices or something. It's definitely my preference to play decks personally that are like more proactive, um, and that are interactive, where like there's interactions on the board and I can outplay someone that way instead of just like having a deck that is so Magicka efficient that my opponent oftentimes has no possible way of winning once the game gets to a certain point. Like there's literally nothing they can do. My favorite moments in this game have been games where I've won that have been like on the edge of a knife where it could go either way, where it's really close, where it's back and forth, and like saving a card for just the right time or making the right play or an unexpected play or something is what is the difference between victory instead of just like my deck is designed so efficiently, so Magicka efficient, and so good at controlling the other player and not allowing them to like do anything the entire game that like it was never even like a question of who would win and they never even got close to beating me or something. I don't want to like overgeneralize, but um yeah, I mean if you want to play Telvanni, more power to you, do it. But I would say if you value my opinion, which you don't have to, but like try to make it your own. Don't just run the same exact Telvanni control deck as everyone else. And like if it was me, I'm not a control player, but if I was, I would want to make like a unique shadow deck, control deck that has my stamp on it, that's different from everyone else, and try to make that good. That would be
Like
fun and
like
challenging
my
for
like
me.
my weird fucking spider Telvanni with Wisp Mother and shit.
Exactly. But I mean, so if I've come across that way to people, I don't want to necessarily come across that way. Like you can play whatever you want. Um, but I think if people are looking to improve, it's not as surefire of a way to improve to just copy other people all the time and never change up like your deck or your playstyle or whatever. The more kind of decks you play and the more deck building you do instead of just using other people's decks, the better in the long run of a player that you're going to be for sure. And so my criticism of like Telvanni is like players that I see only ever playing Telvanni and it's only the exact same Telvanni deck as everyone else. But I don't want to beat a dead horse.
Yeah, no, Telvanni, it's like goblins kind of, you know what I mean? Like goblins, nobody, like, I don't know. It's hard to take a deck like goblins and make it your own because you're always going to run the staple goblin cards, and I think that's why a lot of
Yep,
people don't like goblins. And goblins are
it's
very
so
strong.
tuned and overtuned, yeah, like
Like the synergy between Three Feather War Chief and Shearpoint Dragon is just busted in my opinion. Like that card is so fucking strong with
not to
Shearpoint
mention
Dragon.
Skirmisher. I mean, and yeah, I mean like at this point everyone knows that it's a good deck, that people can win playing it, but it's like what I've always liked about this game is trying to find new and exciting ways to make new decks that are still good, but also like fresh and like that are your own, you know? Like, but
Oh, I
not
feel
everyone
it.
has to play this game the same way or enjoy the same things. So again, if you enjoy playing the same Telvanni as everyone else, and that's what really does it for you, then more power to you.
Khajiit will keep you safe.
As far as the other half of the question, like what was it about crabs and Alfiq Conjurer or something?
Yeah, basically, why is it okay to play some meta shit, but other meta shit is not okay? Kind of. To kind of like, generalize the question a little more.
I mean, that's a good question. It's just whatever your preference is, right? And I mean, people are going to play meta because they want to win, and meta gives you the best chance to win. I mean, most of the time. Um, I would argue that there is less people playing a deck that is based around crabs and Elfique Conjurer than there is people playing Telvanni Control on the ladder by like a lot. I don't know if I'm wrong about that, but
Honestly, I don't come across very many crab decks. Like occasionally, I'll stream like crabs and stuff like that. You
yeah.
know, and you know sometimes I'll see people playing like I don't know. It was either like a deck that maybe like I inspired or like it very similar to the
Yeah.
crab battle mage that I run or ran the other day, like a couple months ago, like to on that wild run to like rank 1.
Oh yeah.
But I mean,
Insane.
for like the most part, like you know, you don't really see crabs unless it's like you know maybe in monk sometimes you'll see them in scout sometimes, but like you know you don't see like a sorcerer crab deck. You know what I mean? Even though I think that crabs
Jaro
go
used to
really
have a
well in
sorcerer crab
sorcerer.
deck, I feel like.
Well, I mean, sorcerer is a great class for crabs because you have Unday and then you have Alfique and you have like you know if you wanted to go the extra route with like Corsair ship and Necromancer, you can do a lot of really cool things with crabs and fucking sorcerer. Don't get me wrong, and that kind of goes
Dude,
to the whole
Gumshoe.
sorcerer being like Telvanni minus, really.
Yeah. Gumshoe used to have a like Greterin crabs and a Tribunal crabs and decks like that. I feel like
He
he
had
was like experimenting with.
he did it with all the different 3-color decks.
I know. What a legend that guy is.
It's a shame that near the end he only played fucking Telvanni control though.
I think that someone could make the argument that Old Salty's Assault is a little bit kind of like powerful of a card,
Well,
especially like on
a
turn
lot of
4
people
with
don't
ring
like
or
it.
whatever.
A lot of people really hate salties, and I think it's just they all kind of parrot the same thing as like it's overpowered. It's like you know too much value for 5 mana, and they always reference the stats, which fucking makes me wild. Like okay, it's not the fucking stats, you guys, because if it was the stats, then everybody would be playing Hulking Fabricant. Like seriously, it's the same fucking difference. The reason why Old Salties is a strong card is because it thins your deck of all the shitty cards you don't
Well,
want
and
to draw
again,
into.
not everyone plays crabs. Like, there's way less crab decks out there than there is Telvanni control. So I mean, if it was that busted, you know people would be abusing it because people. If I've learned anything about people that play Legends, is that they will use whatever they have to try to win. I mean, just like we all do. So I don't know. It's just a preference thing. Some people are more
And then if you're me, you'll
players, so
just
of
use
course
whatever
they're
the
gonna.
fuck you want, pretty much. Which is kind
As
of
long
like
as it's not workshop or invade. No, I'm just kidding. But
no. See the thing about the whole like I don't think there's any workaround for workshop. Unfortunately, like just being able to have 2 of your effect is not something that you can actually like make into a fair. Like even double camel is rough. Like that's not a thing, and that's like the most acceptable I think useful like use for workshop would be like using it on like camel. Um, because it's nothing that will you know outrightly like beat you right off the bat. Something like a Titan combo or like using it on a Dwarven Dynamo or something like that. But like even still, being able to cycle through 8 cards or 6 cards for fucking 4 mana is a little ridiculous.
man, this has been a lot of fun. I think I'm going to sign off for the night. But thanks for
Yeah,
doing
man.
this, Andy.
No problem,
We
dude.
will definitely do this again.
I'll see you when I see you next, homie.
I just found your stream on Twitch, so I might tune in for a bit, even though I'm gonna sign off.
All right, man.
I'll talk to you later, bro.
Have a good one, dude.
You too. Bye.
A grievous error. Should have been more worthy.
So yeah, that's something that we're going to be doing a little bit more of in the future. I'm going to upload the videos to YouTube as well. So actually, what I'm going to do here is I'm going to end this stream, but I'm just going to restart a new one so that it'll save it as basically it'll save that stream as its own separate entity.